that do not look for wealth, do not take a good job because you're not supposed to be wealthy. I never said so. I would love to be a multimillionaire right now, but in order to support good causes. That's why there is a very interesting hadith, and it is narrated by Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, and it is agreed upon its authenticity. Did you just notice that every time I quote a hadith, I say it's narrated by either Bukhari or Muslim or agreed upon it, etc. Because one of the more important essence of knowledge is to acquire it from the main proper sources, both the Quran and the sound Sunnah. So anyway, in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, there shall not be any envy nor jealousy except in two conditions. The first one is رَجُلٌ آتَاهُ اللَّهُ مَالًا فَسَلَّطَهُ عَلَى هَلَكَتِهِ فِي الْحَقِّ وَرَجُلٌ آتَاهُ اللَّهُ الْحِكْمَةَ فَهُوَ يَقْضِي بِهَا وَيُعَلِّمُهَا. I guess I just mentioned that I don't mind to be rich. As a matter of fact, I would love to be a multimillionaire. I'm assuming that, and Allah knows best, I know what to do with this kind of money. I know how to utilize it in a way that would please Allah the Almighty. So in this condition, it is praised to possess such money. But if your dreams are only in order to show off before people and wear the best clothes and spend it in haram, then you better stay without having any money. That is better for you. In this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, envy is prohibited except in two conditions. The first one is when you compare yourself to one who possessed wealth and he is spending his wealth in a proper way that pleases Allah the Almighty. He is giving in a charity, spending moderately, supporting himself, his family members, and those who are in need. So it is okay to wish to be like him, not that he would lose his wealth. No. The second case is when somebody is given hikmah. And the hikmah, brothers and sisters, which literally means wisdom, here it means knowledge, the religious knowledge. Because without knowledge, how can one possess this kind of wisdom? فَهُوَ يَقْضِي بِهَا وَيُعَلِّمُهَا. So he's acting upon it, he judges between people with it, with this kind of knowledge, and he teaches it to others. Yeah, that's right. Uthman ibn Affan, as I remember, narrated once again in a sound hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of all of you is the one who learned the Quran and teaches it to others. Subhanallah. Superiority, the best of mankind is the one who learned the Quran. Then, accordingly, he starts teaching the Quran to others. That is the best of the best. Now let's talk about some serious business here, which is where to begin from. What am I supposed to do? What kind of book I need to read? Because he just made it very serious that every Muslim should be knowledgeable. But to what extent? How much knowledge I'm supposed to acquire in order to fulfill this requirement? In Islam, knowledge is divided into two divisions. The first division, which is an individual duty, that every person, every Muslim, male or a female, must learn this kind of knowledge with this amount of knowledge. And the second, which we call it communal duty, or in Arabic we call it fardu kifaya, that not necessarily everybody has to acquire this kind of knowledge, but those who are specialists in this field, once they master it, and we have already people who are taking care of this, fine. Then the rest of the ummah will not be blamed or blameworthy. Such as learning about inheritance law. It's a very sophisticated law and very difficult. Not every Muslim is required to know how to divide the inheritance. So once we have scholars who master this kind of knowledge, this is it. That should be enough. Similarly, the principles of jurisprudence. This is not just fiqh, rather it is the usul of the fiqh. It is not an individual responsibility, but a part of the ummah must acquire this kind of knowledge in order to be able to transmit it to others and teach it to others. Let's give an example of what we call it an individual duty or a personal responsibility. Every male and female who is a Muslim should acquire this kind of knowledge. Learning about the commands and prohibitions with regards to acts of worship, business transaction, according to your need. What do you mean according to your need? Everybody must pray, right? So every person, every Muslim, male or a female, must learn exactly about the prayers, its pillars, its mandatory parts, and even the recommended actions and the prerequisites of the prayer. And what are the acts which may nullify the prayer? And amongst the prerequisites, at-tahara, the purification. How can you just stand up and say Allahu Akbar and you did not perform the proper purity nor ablution? Perhaps ghusl in order to lift the major impurity. This is an essential knowledge. We've met with some people in Hajj. And I don't know how to say this, but it happened. If somebody stimulates himself sexually until he has a sexual discharge, this is a prohibited habit. If somebody does that during the days of Ramadan, he has violated his or her fasting. During Hajj, it's a big time sin. And it has a penalty. So, if I am going to perform Hajj, I must attend sessions and classes in order to learn what is the best way to perform Hajj. It's not sufficient to say, well, I'm going with a tour guide. Oh, I signed up with the best company. Those travel agents, they know everything. That is not necessarily true. You have to do your homework. You have to individually acquire this kind of knowledge which will enable you to perform Hajj. Many people, brothers and sisters, we see they spend a lot of money. They spend their lifetime saving in order to come to perform Hajj, and they have not performed Hajj. They did not even enter into Arafah Valley. Why? Because they did not know the importance nor the significance. Travel agent, all what he cares about that he brought them to Saudi Arabia, and that's it. Fasting. How could you say that I'm fasting and you do not know what are the acts which are prohibited during fasting? Fasting is not only about abstaining from eating or drinking. There are other things, such as having a sexual contact, such as restraining your tongue from addressing falsehood, foolishness, backbiting, slanders, calumnies, etc., etc., etc. And also the etiquette of fasting. What time should you begin fasting and what time should you break your fast? Some people think it is a praiseworthy act to postpone breaking their fast after Isha prayer or extend it all the way to after praying Taraweeh. They think this is a good thing. No, it is not a good thing. They thought it's good out of ignorance. So this kind of knowledge is required for every person in order to be able to perform the acts of worship properly. If you're a poor person, you don't worry about the zakah rate, you don't worry about the nisab and the due date because you're only eligible to take zakah fund. But if you're somebody who's got some business or you inherited some money, then you must know exactly what is the zakah rate. Whether you're a farmer, whether you're a businessman, you're in trade, you are in the stock market, or whatever. You have to know, how am I supposed to dispense my wealth? What is Allah's right and the poor's right in my wealth? While you're digging out in your property to take out the dirt in order to establish the foundation, you dug out a pot full of gold. Thank God.